before we get too deep into this, folks, like, comment, and subscribe. Do the things that help the channel grow. Now, let's talk a little bit about what's been happening in this Jeffrey Epstein implosion that has been going on, because I gotta be honest, folks, it's really funny. It's really funny. Like, super, super funny. Here's from earlier today. He was approached by the press, Donald Trump, and asked about the man who once described himself as Donald Trump's closest friend for about 10 years. So let's hear what Donald had to say about Jeffrey Epstein.
How many more? On Epstein, the Attorney General briefed you on the DOJ and FBI review, the findings of that review. The Attorney General briefed you on that.
What? On the
DOJ and FBI
on what?
review.
On what subject?
Epstein. Okay. On Epstein, of the review of the files. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
A very quick briefing.
Did she tell you, what did she tell you about the review? And specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing, and in terms of the credibility of the different things that they've seen. And I would say that, these files were made up by Comey, they were made up by Obama, they were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through.
You need to stop saying underage women. Underage women are called children.
That is true. That is what an underage woman would be called, a child.
We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
On Texas. How many?
I just want to point out that, I don't know, I think it's kind of weird that if there's nothing to this, that one would receive a briefing on the files. I feel like it's kind of a weird move to talk about how you were briefed on said files, but then say that the files were all made up. This is maybe one of the moments I've ever seen where I would say this is Donald Trump genuinely afraid of something, because this is a really weird way to phrase this if you're not afraid of it coming out. Let me put it that way. He's running away. He's like I've never seen him this
It's even weirder to say you were briefed on the Epstein files.
Saki Tanuki, you beautiful son of a bitch with your jokes and your humor. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. But I just think it is fascinating. I think it's fascinating. And I gotta say, guys, this has legs. This is not gonna just kind of go away. And I know that folks like Charlie Kirk here have really turned the corner on this after receiving phone calls directly from the President of the United States, which, again, if this is a fake story, pretty weird that the President of the United States would call a conservative podcaster. That's like the President of the United States calling me about something I said on my show. That's weird. That's not a normal thing to do.
Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done, solve it, balls in their hands. I've said plenty this last.
By the way, I love that the people who've been talking about how you can't trust the government to do anything are suddenly very, very, very trusting of the U.S. government right at this particular moment. I don't trust the government with anything, but I do trust him with the Epstein files. It just that doesn't hit. That doesn't land at all.
This weekend. So if you guys want to see my commentary on it, that's fine. Honestly.
So I don't know. I find that quite interesting. It's interesting how pliable the conservative media is on this particular issue. Also, just throwing this out there here. Democrats are actually, stepping up and, I don't know, attacking and recognizing a weakness when they see it, which is refreshing. It's refreshing to see that from Democrats. Here's AOC. Wow, who'd have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files? Yeah, honestly, great. More of this, please. Yeah, I want people to like stop playing with kid gloves when it comes to like the ghouls that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Another great moment here is John Ossoff. I mean, like, damn, more politicians need to step up and say this shit with their whole chest.
President Trump promised to end the wars. He promised to release the Epstein files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein files?
No, one did. But you know what? Every moment that goes by, he should be getting shellacked for this. Okay? Every moment that goes by, he should be getting absolutely pilloried by Democrats. Okay? Here is Asmongold. You know, like, again, when you've lost like the dipshit conservative base, like the dumbest man on the internet, Asmongold, is even going like, hey, wait a minute. What's going on here? Oh, wait a minute. My rat clock is going off. My roach senses are tingling.
So this is apparently, she gonna go out and say this shit?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. This has been a practice in how to not handle a scandal inside of the Trump administration with the...
Okay, yeah. By the way, a lot of this video is just him listening to Benny Johnson read an article, which is not particularly interesting, but let's go ahead here.
Thought he was good? What do you mean you thought he was good? How could you think this?
Yeah. But I wasn't in the indictment. So I wasn't mentioned. I wasn't even one of the co-conspirators.
And too many of my colleagues, I'm afraid, are compromised in this area for whatever reason. Somebody's whispered in their ear.
That's right, brother. That's right. You got to hold them accountable. Let them know. That's right.
Who is this? This is Asmongold, the Roach Man. He's a conservative.
Hey, you don't want something to come out on something else. You better keep your mouth shut on this. And that's exactly what they've done. And
wait, why are the Epstein files so important, though? Why do I care what Epstein did or didn't do? Aren't actual policies more important? Well, part of the reason why the Epstein files are so important is because Jeffrey Epstein, no one knows how he made his incredibly huge fortune outside of speculation that he was blackmailing rich and powerful people in order to get said funds, right? So his method of blackmail involved wining and dining guests, bringing them to his private island, and then getting them to fuck children. That's that, and then he would have that on camera, he would have that on film, he would then be able to use that as an immense amount of leverage over them. That's kind of the speculation of how Jeffrey Epstein built his power and his wealth. And because he was so powerful, the Epstein list, you know, the list of clients who visited the Epstein Island and participated in these activities, the list of blackmail is supposedly very large, and it involves some of the most powerful people on the planet. You know, people who have been implicated in this are, you know, Alan Dershowitz, Prince Andrew. You know, we're talking like royalty and world leaders here. And it is also compounded by the fact that the conservative movement has built a huge pillar of their support for Donald Trump on the idea that he is going to drain the swamp. And part of draining the swamp was pushed by QAnon. The idea that essentially Donald Trump was going to come into power, and part of him coming into power would involve him exposing all of the evil pedophile rapists, etc., like exposing the gigantic plot of the deep state. And a central component of that is the Jeffrey Epstein list, right? And so part of the reason why it's really important is because, one, an immense amount of harm was done to a huge number of women who were at the time children. You know, they have grown up now. Many of them have not, because they took their lives. And so, like, it's an incredibly tragic thing. There is a desire and a need for justice for these people, but also because there's like a need for accounting. You know, like there's I don't know. I think all of us believe on a certain level that if someone harms a child in that way, they should be held to account for it. And that is also compounded by the fact that, like, because there is this pillar that was built specifically on this thing, it has the capacity to fracture the Republican movement. Already you can see people like Tucker Carlson making moves to try and capitalize on this by essentially saying, look at how Donald Trump has sold us out to the globalist elites. And, you know, like, he's making his move to rebuild his power base, and it's actually kind of scary, you know? But for the average person, there was a genuine belief there that Donald Trump was going to reveal the Epstein list, and there would be this accounting, this justice. And especially because the fanaticism around this in conservative circles, like, rose to the level of cult. Like, there were people, like, praying for this. There were people killing their own children because they feared what might happen to them because of this. And so when we're talking about why this is important, what we're seeing are a bunch of people for the very first time being like, being given a shake and being like, wait a minute, could it be that this man who's been nothing but a liar to us this entire time is actually a liar? Like, for some people, this is like the straw that broke the camel's back. And, like, I'm not saying for us that we need to, like, court the support of people who are still very much in the orbit of conservatism, but I am saying it is good for us to know that there are these fractures, that this power base that is trying to be projected as the will of the people by the Republican Party is actually not at all unified. And so I think that this is actually maybe one of the more important stories that has happened recently, especially because there is a chance that Donald Trump is implicated in this, in those papers, as somebody who, again, was one of Jeffrey Epstein's longtime friends. And if the current president of the United States gets implicated in this, or if someone leaks that he's implicated in this, I mean, there is a real chance that some shit goes down. So yeah, apparently Massey is trying to rally Congress to force out the Epstein files. Check Politico. There are a couple Republicans trying to get the Epstein files released. You can see Asmongold reacting to one of them here, but a lot of the Republican Party is trying to kill this. And again, without knowing the details of what's actually in this, it is interesting to speculate as to why that might be, you know? How do you see the Trump admin wiggling and worming their way out of this conundrum? Like, realistically, how do you see it all playing out? I mean, the best case scenario for them right now is just that the story gets dropped and they move on to a different part of the press cycle. The issue for them is that they have deliberately cultivated and courted a base. They ran on releasing the Epstein files. Like, numerous members of the current administration ran specifically on that.
I would argue you did drain the swamp. You know what happens when you drain a swamp. You reveal all the monsters that were submerged the whole time. GOP or them.
True. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. Yeah, I mean, like, there's also, like, a lot of weird stuff. There are allegations Epstein was working with the CIA and Mossad for Israel. I don't know how much of that is substantiated, but like a lot of things around Jeffrey Epstein, there's some really weird shit. And I think that, frankly, I don't care, for example, if Bill Clinton is implicated. I don't care if Democrats are implicated in this. I don't care if, like, our scientific faves are implicated in this or whatever. Like, I think that this stuff should come out because ultimately I think it will help Democrats and it will massively hurt Republicans. And also, I just think it's the right thing to do.
And it continues to go, whether it's the honeypot that the Russians used to use or something worse. I don't know. But But it's clearly, you see that up and down the line. You see good conservatives vote for liberal policies.
So you're saying that right now, currently ongoing in our Congress, there are members of Congress who have been compromised by either special
defense I have heard. Do you want us to release child porn? They admit that Epstein had photos as blackmail with that statement.
I mean, yeah, like, I don't know, like, all of the excuses not to release it ring hollow.
I mean, any Republicans
and indicate they have
Epstein
shit.
files basically stand to inherit the entire party if they're released, since we know Trump and most of the Republicans are in them.
I mean, that's true, Akumi. And that's kind of why I'm like, I hope that we need to keep this story alive, because the longer this is alive and the longer this is relevant, the more likely it is that whatever information there is falls into the hands of someone who is inclined to leak this information as like a way of stabbing Trump and the entire MAGA movement in the back in order to inherit the party. One of the things I personally fear, for example, is Tucker Carlson ally. And that might seem kind of silly, but Tucker Carlson is an incredibly wealthy man. He stands to inherit the entire Swanson frozen food fortune. Okay, he comes from an incredibly wealthy family. He has an incredible amount of sway in Republican politics, and like he's well positioned in DC. And if one of his guys get access to this information, he has the ability to break this, break this out. And while I would celebrate the fall of MAGA and the fall of Trump, there is a very dangerous possibility in the ascendancy of someone like Tucker Carlson, who is a true believer in kind of a neo-fascist colonial empire, you know? I'm very worried about that. But either way, I hope that these documents come out because I think that for all of the money and all of the influence he might potentially get, I think that we can out-organize Tucker Carlson any day of the week with people like you guys. So that being said, let's finish this clip.
Interests or the intelligence community to not give the American public information on Jeffrey Epstein?
I believe so. 100%. 100%. I want to tell you one quick thing. I know it's a little different, but I've been involved in the UFO UAP issue, and it's, like I said, I'm not going to bring out little green men and a flying saucer, but it's about transparency. I had an amendment on the FAA reauthorization bill.
Name them. I really hate how everybody is going and talking about how this is going to come out and all these people are compromised and all this shit's happening. But like, then just name, at least put somebody's name out there.
Super Jet Guy, which poison do we take? We take whichever poison is weakest, and then we beat the shit, you know? Like, we take whatever's weakest, and then we buff ourselves up to survive. That's what we do.
Because all they need to do, see, the thing is that all you need to do is have one domino fall, and then I think that things will kind of collapse around after that. And
if an American pilot sees a UAP, an anomaly or something, and they make a report to the FAA, that report has to be made available to Congress. I was told by the whip.
I don't care about this. Here we go.
Who it is. They got to find out who it is. And as soon as you start putting out names and stuff like that, the thing is that it's easy how people know these, but they're all afraid to talk. Yeah, you know what I think it is? I'm going to be real. I think half of them are lying.
Guys, do you understand how bad at lying you have to be to get Asmongold to like sit there and say, hey, wait a minute, maybe these people are liars? Do you think that guy isn't actually doing magic? It's actually just sleight of hand? Wait a minute, you're telling me that every magician I've ever seen is just doing tricks? Like, that's what we're seeing happen here. Like, you have to understand, this guy has a blood wall. He lives in a house where he, like, rubs the blood of his gums on his walls. Because that's just how he rolls. He has, like, cockroaches crawling over things. He has, like dead animals falling from his ceilings. He has something called a rat clock because, like, when he wakes up, he wakes up to the gases of the rat's corpse expanding and the smell getting so bad that he wakes up. That's how this man lives. And even he's going like, You know, wait a minute. I think these guys might be lying to me. You've lost the guy who uses a rat as an alarm clock. Also, he's one of the most listened to conservative content creators currently alive. I can't emphasize that enough. This is one of their strongest warriors. And even he is going, I think they might be lying. And if you've lost this guy, you've lost like the Republican base. What kind of shit is he living in? Literally, the first time I was introduced to Asmongold was a tour of his house. And I cannot emphasize enough, don't watch the video that's a tour of his house. It's genuinely disgusting. Wait a minute, these guys are lying to me?
I think they're just saying this bullshit just to act like they know what's going on, to make people that they disagree with or dislike look bad. I think a lot of them are lying, bro. Like, I'll link you all the video. I'm starting to get the feeling all these politicians are only out for themselves. It's a Benny Johnson video. I've been watching his stuff for a bit now, and I really like him. I think he's great.
See what I mean? He's the world's dumbest conservative. Dude watches Benny Johnson, one of the most insincere people working in media possible. A guy who was implicated not like 6 months ago for taking obscene amounts of money from Russia to make dogshit content, propaganda for them. A guy who was fired from BuzzFeed for plagiarism. I'm gonna say that again. Benny Johnson was fired from BuzzFeed for plagiarism. Do you have any idea how embarrassing that is? Dude couldn't write listicles to save his life. Okay, like this is the brilliant mind Asmongold puts on a pedestal.
And yeah, there it is. There's a video right there. Give it a like. And everyone's lying. I don't think they're all lying. They've been milking it for years. Yeah, definitely. Why do you think Hunter Biden is still free? Everybody knows why. It's because he's he's the son of the president. That's the reason why. We all know why. And so, no, I really think so. And you put one name, that person will immediately start throwing others under the bus. Yeah, exactly. And again, like I'm telling you, like the way that the way to handle this is that. See, I think that only somebody like I always thought Trump, this is one thing I thought about Trump. I always thought Trump was a scumbag, psychopath, narcissist, mob boss. And that's why I really thought that maybe he could do some good, is because.
Oh, fuck. How do you say that? How do you string those words together? You know, when I say this guy is like the dumbest man in politics, I really do mean it. Like, yeah, I thought this guy who had dedicated himself solely to the cause of evil could do some good. What are you talking about? This guy that was like best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for like 10 years, I thought he was really dedicating himself to outing Jeffrey Epstein's client list. Are you fucking nuts? Are you mental?
That's what I would want to have, right? That's what I wanted. That's what I was looking for. Like we were going for that. And so if anybody knows how to deal with these people, it has to be Donald. And if he doesn't know how to deal with them and he can't do this, nobody can. No.
In order to hunt the pedophiles, you must first become the pedophile. That was what Donald Trump's plan was all along. We needed to bring in the ultimate pedophile in order to understand and catch all of the other pedophiles. Like, that's his literal reasoning. That's his reasoning. Oh God. I just...
Nobody fucking can. And so that's the real problem that I have. He's got to fix this? Yeah, like it, because he's one of them? Exactly. Well, like, that doesn't, like, you act like that's some kind of like like that, then he would know.
Look, I'm just saying this Sauron guy has some good ideas.
I know Melkor sang dissonance into the very fabric of the universe at the beginning of all things, but, let's hear him out. He might have some good ideas. Look, I know he wants to steal the light of Iluvatar, but I think maybe that could, we need to just bring him in on this because otherwise, we'll never be able to catch this Sauron guy.
Then he would know. Yeah, exactly. Elon can, maybe, right?
The only one who can stop Sauron is this guy Melkor, okay? I swear, bro. We just need to make Melkor our king.
Musk has it too, but he can't run for president, right? He can't run for president. He can't do that. And so that's it. I'm thinking, what the fuck happened to WikiLeaks? So I guess we're wise to corruption. Yeah, no, I'm telling you, like, that's what I was hoping for. A lot of people might think that's crazy for me to say, to vote for.
Yeah, it does sound pretty crazy to say I voted for the pedophile president because I thought he was going to help us hunt down all the other pedophiles. That is pretty crazy to say, actually.
Somebody because I think they're insane, but that's the only thing that I think will solve this problem is an insane person. And that's it.
That's not at all rational. By that logic, to fix one person's like mental issues, you just put another person with mental issues in the same room and just let them hash it out. That's how that works. Oh God, the logic of a man with a rat clock. Indeed, that was actually so stupid. I can't believe it. But believe it or not, I have another Asmongold clip for you guys.
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes. 2 counts. One, soliciting prostitution and procuring a minor for prostitution.
Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis? I had hired psychologist to what type of person he was and what would actually get under his skin.
Question.
Described your penis oval-shaped and claimed when erect it was thick towards the bottom.
Okay, well, I don't want to hear more about this.
Be the master of his domain and in control of his world.
Mr. Epstein, how long have you been sexually attracted to
Okay, this is actually a lot grosser than I thought it was going to be. But like, I don't know. I think it's pretty fucking gross the way he's like riveted by this. Yeah, I'm gonna pull the ripcord on that one. We don't need to hear any more of that. Jesus Christ. But like, just the Epstein deposition video is fucking crazy. It's just like, it's just him looking bug-eyed at the deposition video. Like there's no content here. It's just him looking at it. Oh wait, he talks to the camera for like 5 seconds. Let's find out what he says.
Guys, I can't believe this guy killed himself for being too innocent.
Virginia Roberts.
Okay, that was worth it. Look, you've lost the Asmongold dipshit who's absolutely willing to like make any and every kind of excuse for Donald Trump and the Trump administration, and even he's like, yeah, I don't even believe that. You lost this guy. You lost this guy. The rat clock guy. Why do we care what a stupid grungy World of Warcraft streamer says anyway? Well, partially because this stupid grungy World of Warcraft streamer has multiple channels with millions of subscribers, and each one of his uploads gets like, 1 to 2 million views a piece. Like it's genuinely kind of nuts. Why you can't trust Steam reviews anymore? 500,000 views. What the fuck is happening in Spain? Almost 1 million views. Chicago McDonald's closes because of crime. 1 million views. Like, dude shits out content nonstop and regularly like breaks 1 million views on each one of his videos. He's one of the #1 political commentators on the far right. What's the rat clock? I'm only going to explain it one more time. It's a dead rat that's on a windowsill near his bed that expands when the sun hits it, and then it becomes so smelly it wakes him up. He literally has almost 4 million subscribers on his main channel, and I'm just gonna take a look here. He also has like a business venture, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. I can't remember the name of it. Is it like the Asmongold company? What is it? Yeah, he's the co-founder of One True King, OTK, which has like a bunch of different members that include like Ms. Kiff, a bunch of really big streamers. It's yeah, pretty interesting, to say the least.
Are we absolutely sure he's not the cockroach alien from the first Men in Black?
No, we can't be absolutely sure, especially considering the cockroach situation in his house. Just put up the video of him describing it. I genuinely don't have a link to that video. Okay, you know what? Here we go. Here, I'm not gonna do this entire video, but like,
That's so.
Here.
That's the circle of life.
Damn.
It's cool because like the more I breathe air in here, it makes me feel like slightly sicker.
That's a big ass cricket. Wait, is that real?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
I thought that was real.
It's not.
Wait, you have soap. Dude, your sink is crazy. No, this is fine.
Yeah, I usually don't use that one.
Wait. Oh, no, this has been used.
Yeah, I use it pretty regularly. Yeah.
Oh, you letting that pan soak?
Yeah.
How long that been soaking for?
Like a day.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. And
Dust in the pan, you're lying.
Is this the same kitchen you cook in?
Yeah.
Why is it? Am I crazy? Or is everything feel way smaller than you thought it was gonna be?
Rooms look bigger on camera.
Like, I mean, like, this is nuts. Cause like.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's real.
Well, I actually had to get rid of most things out of the nest.
That's
because they were moldy. They were moldy.
Do you actually sleep down here, or you just sleep upstairs in your room?
You know, he had to get rid of a bunch of pillows because they were molding.
I'll go like this. Just like this. Oh shit! I got my pillow.
Oh yeah, that's the blood wall right there. It's covered in blood from his mouth. This guy gets millions of views. Yes.
Yep.
That's
very
nice.
comfy and cozy.
Why you got all those? We always just wear the same damn shirt.
Well, I haven't moved them. Like, what else am I gonna do with them? Like, damn. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't clean anything up, so I figured I'd give you guys the authentic experience. And then you're literally wearing pants. This is.
Yeah. Anyway, it's fucking gross, is what it is. I do have an entire video going over this particular video, and it is the first impression I ever had of Asmongold, and then I learned that he does politics content, and that sucks. That sucks. Anyway, folks, this is why it's really important to learn basic life skills, like how to clean, how to, like, take care of yourself, how to, like, brush your teeth so you don't just, I don't know, wipe blood off your mouth and then on your wall. You know, basic life skills so that you don't live like a crazy Neanderthal in a cave. You know, like this is genuinely like modern day, like maybe like an Encino Man situation, like he got unfrozen from a glacier and now he just lives in a house. I don't know. He lives in Encino Man, but he lives in a house and becomes a Republican political commentator. Anyway, back to this Jeffrey Epstein stuff.
Costa, he allegedly said.
I really do want to emphasize that Donald Trump seems really dodgy and not okay about everything that's happening here.
Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse?
Had to stop cleaning just to see this. He is obviously mentally ill. Looks like textbook depression.
I mean, I have no idea what's wrong with him, and I'm not even going to try and untangle what's happening in his brain.
On the native set.
Yeah, sure. If
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on...
I just can't believe you're all talking about this Jeffrey Epstein fellow. Just an absolute creep. Not someone I would ever associate with. So, this guy was one of his best friends for a decade. A decade! He talked about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, the person who procured children for Jeffrey Epstein. Dude wished her well at trial.
That in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question.
Wait, really? Really? Here. I was Donald Trump's closest friend. And I'm not going to subscribe to this, but like, They have him on audio describing himself as Donald Trump's closest friend for 10 years.
About the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also to the 10.
Yeah, in 2002, Sorry You're Blue, it has the quote right there. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life. They were photographed together. They went to the same parties. This guy partied with Jeffrey Epstein while talking about how they shared a love of young women. But, that you guys are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein. That creep. Still talking about it.
Of thousands of video. They turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released. Never.
Oh, okay. So what's really interesting about this is that if you have a bunch of child porn that Jeffrey Epstein recorded as blackmail, then you know who's in the tape assaulting the children, because it was recorded for the purposes of blackmail. So obviously we're not asking you to release the child pornography, we're asking you to release who was implicated in it. It's not that difficult.
Going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing...
Yeah, the Attorney General of the United States doesn't understand the concept of redacting information to be released to the public.
From the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide.
Yeah, we released footage showing that he committed suicide. Ignore the fact that that was immediately shown by Wired to have been doctored or manipulated in some way. So, like, immediately discredits the release. Also, I feel like it's kind of important here that Donald Trump got ratioed on Truth Social. The social media website where he's the largest account that he owns ratioed him for the first time over his posts about Jeffrey Epstein. Let's take a look at his statement here, just because. Oh my God, what a great copy pasta. All right, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna do my best Trump. Okay. What's going on, my boys, and in some cases, gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening.
We released a video confirming his suicide. Now for a video of Trump obviously lifting this giant gold bar with weights and driving around a volcano in a buggy.
Suck it, Tanuki. Thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. And I just have to time out. I gotta tell you guys, and I'm not prone to conspiracism or anything like that, but when I see the President of the United States say something like, all over the guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein, to me, my conspiracy brain goes to, is he implying Jeffrey Epstein is somehow still alive? Like, did they body double Epstein? Is he just like off on in a secret bunker somewhere? Like what? Like I don't know. That sounds really weird to me. But okay. For years, It's Epstein, over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they have used on me. And now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files, no matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons. It's never enough for some people. Look at all I've done for you guys. We're not even halfway done, by the way. He's just stream of conscious posting on this. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding, which I don't think that's the case here, actually. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals. Instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. And what's crazy to me is that in the middle of this, he talks about looking at the documents. So you have the documents. You have something. Release that. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. With global warming, that may soon be true. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Dude literally ends his statement by nobody even cares about Jeffrey Epstein anyway. Why are you all talking about it? It's so fucking funny. It's so fucking funny, guys. There's an actual post. Oh yeah, it's huge. Oh my god. I wish I could see the comments on this, but I'm not going to make a Truth Social account to see that. Yeah, just another Trump dump. Anyway, let's take a look here. Here's an interesting clip from Fox News that they cut out from an interview with Donald Trump during the last year's election. Let's take a look, shall we? Nobody cares about Epstein.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
Would you?
I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Would you declassify?
I don't know, guys. All I'm saying is this is not how a man with a clean conscience on this particular matter answers a question. That's not how a guy with nothing to hide answers that question. Well, you know, if it ever came out, there's a lot of fake stuff in there. You know, there's just a lot of fake stuff. You can't believe everything you see or hear in a document that I would release, of course. Like, damn, dude. Damn. It's genuinely like incredible. Yeah, I wanted to show this. The implosion in like Trump world is I mean it's actually hitting some MAGA folks. Donald Trump said the Epstein files are untrustworthy and that we need to move on. Nail in the coffin. I won't defend this. I'm disgusted. Cool. Say goodbye to midterms. So that's what we're going with. Obama, Hillary, and Biden created the Epstein list. Weren't we just told that Biden would have released the Epstein files if Trump was on them? If they created the files, wouldn't they have released them? This is so embarrassingly insulting. At some point, we must stop using Bondi, Bongino, or Cash as scapegoats and demand answers from Trump himself. Like, the left was so right about this administration, it's kind of unbelievable. You know, like these posts are doing pretty good numbers too. Like, what kind of attorney general lies to protect child rapists? I don't know about all of you, but literally nothing is making sense right now. Nothing at all. People make their own choices and decisions, but mark my word, the lack of actual results at the DOJ and lack of transparency that translates into incompetence will cost the GOP House and Senate seats. Don't say I didn't warn you. And honestly, for as crazy as Laura Loomer is, she is 100% correct here. Like, I don't know, guys. There's some legs here. Burn your MAGA hats. This guy sucks. Like, there's something happening here. And I don't know how much of this is like people trying to protect their platforms. I don't know how much of this backlash is genuine or not. But like, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting that some of the bigger figures like Megyn Kelly here are coming out. I'm sure it's a relief for Pam Bondi to hear the president is still in her corner. Unfortunately, huge swaths of the party are not. She repeatedly misled on Epstein, then didn't have the courage to explain herself. Suddenly, she's camera shy and no questions allowed. Good luck. I mean, like, it's some truly interesting things happening here, to say the least. Here's the thing. I actually want to support Trump's decisions. I just fucking can't. I simply did not vote for this and spend the last 5 years persuading others to do the same. Epstein and drain the swamp are synonymous. You don't expose Epstein, his clients, and his handler, and you're protecting the swamp, period. Not gonna lie, I'm a little worried about midterms. Anyone else feeling this way? Yeah, no. The entire, like, this is a betrayal of the QAnon movement. It's like one of the core pillars of Trump support. If you've ever seen, like, people showing up to his rallies dressed up in, like, god-awful American flag shit, like, all over, the chances they are QAnoners. They are his, like, hardest core, like, support system. And, like, they're not taking this well. QAnon died a while ago. It absolutely did not. It absolutely did not. The cultish belief has persisted. People killed their families when Biden won the election because of their belief in this QAnon shit. And there are still people who believe it right now. They've put, like, members of the QAnon movement into the administration. Like, QAnon has, you know, if it seems like it's dead, it's only because it's been absorbed into the system of the GOP. It's quite interesting, to say the least. Like, I just it's some very interesting phenomena. Now, I do want to do one more thing, and maybe this will be a two-parter. You know, we'll end with, like, the Asmongold stuff and for part one, and then we'll do this. But this is we're gonna go into a different direction.
Child molestation, child medical neglect, racism, fascism, sexism, all the phobias. This is the real Republican legacy.
Of course!
100% One-Eyed Heathen. Thank you for the $5 super chat. We need to also check in with another faction of, like, the MAGA base. And I know that you guys have been noticing I've been doing more Brett Cooper content. And that's because, frankly, she's doing better than a lot of other conservative channels are right now. She's tapped into a different core audience for like the conservative movement, and I think it's worth exploring kind of what messaging is going out to them. For example, there's an awful lot of Justin Bieber content on her channel, and I don't really understand it or know why. I don't understand how that overlaps. But we're going to check in because she has some thoughts on Jeffrey Epstein, and I don't know what they are because I haven't seen this yet. But I think it's an interesting, it's an interesting part for us to touch base on. Let's take a look.
As Scooter Braun would say, and I could not be more excited about that. And all of this has just been a great distraction for me from everything happening on X with the freaking Epstein files. And yes, Trump, we are still talking about it because surprisingly, I guess this was news to you, your base really does care about this. And for anybody who was wondering, like, why is Epstein such a big deal? Well, number one, it's a big deal because this is something that Trump ran on. And it wasn't just about Epstein specifically. It wasn't just like, we need to know what happened with Epstein. It was about ending the corruption of the deep state. It was about transparency and finally having answers that so many Americans have wanted on so many issues, whether it's Diddy or JFK or January 6th or Epstein. Like, we want answers because we feel like we've been gaslit and lied to for decades at this point. Like, our government has been so far away from us and the media has been compromised. Like, we have basically...
Yeah, we needed someone who was an outsider to come in and shake things up and, you know, expose everything to the light. So that's why we elected someone who's already been president before. Like, come on.
Just been in the dark, and people are done. And Trump represented the antithesis of this, and he ran on this idea that he was going to have radical transparency. I mean, yes, he also ran on...
Yeah, you know, this guy who everyone says is a liar, it seems like he might be lying to us.
Fixing the economy and strengthening our border and, you know, peace through strength and ending wars and making sure that America stays out of them, which, even though we had the 12-day war and that was a bit scary there, I think that he navigated that well. Like, all of those things are good. He ran on all of those things. But I think the broader message of his campaign, like what he represented, was something that is so refreshing, goes against all corruption, goes up against the government that we've become so used to. And Epstein embodies all of that. And I think what people are most upset about isn't the fact that we aren't seeing the files, but it's the way that this entire thing has been handled. The fact that it was like this bait and switch of like, they're on my desk, we have the binders, it's all coming out, we're all doing it. And then they release this memo literally in the middle of the night, in the middle of the week. They leak it to Axios. There's no press conference. There's no statement from Trump. There's no statement from Caroline Leavitt until like 2 days later when she finally answers that question from Peter Doocy. There isn't anything from Pam Bondi until she finally answers that question next to Trump. And when Trump is finally asked about it, he's like, oh, you guys are still talking about that? Like, get over it. It's like, no, we deserve answers because this is something that you ran on. And again, it embodies something that is much bigger about what you represent and what we all hoped for. And the way that this has been...
You know, I just want to, you know, not to like come to any conclusions or anything, but maybe the guy who has like literal hundreds of photos of himself with P. Diddy on Getty Images, you know, maybe this guy isn't someone we should trust. Maybe he's not the guy we should trust when it comes to being open and honest about who is participating in, you know, sus parties, we'll say. You know, I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe a red flag.
Handled now feels like, was there anything there to begin with? Like, are you covering up for someone or something?
Are you covering up for someone or something?
Yeah, I would.
Declassify the Epstein files.
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you know, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least
do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others.
Would you
Yeah, let's just one more time.
Classify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think
just a very sus way to answer some of this stuff, but okay. Like, wait a minute, maybe we can't trust this guy. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can't. If only there was some kind of sign.
Like, we just don't know who to trust, and that is why there is so much whiplash online. Now, the updates since we spoke last is that there seemed to be trouble in paradise, because Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, there were sources that came out and said that they were furious with Pam Bondi, and everybody was trying to pin everything on Pam Bondi. And they were saying, it's her, she did the rollout, she approved all of this, she's the one hiding everything. And Kash and Bongino, they are allegedly saying it is her or us. Like, apparently Bongino had this whole, like, blow up with her and, like, walked out of the office and left DC, and he was gonna quit if Pam Bondi did not get fired or step down. But then, after all of that started coming out on X, everybody started getting all riled up, like, oh, we gotta get rid of this woman. Then the Deputy Attorney General came out and literally posted this. He said, no, I worked closely with Kash Patel and Bongino on the joint FBI and DOJ memo regarding the Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusions stated in the memo. The suggestion by anyone that there was any daylight between the FBI or DOJ leadership on this memo's composition and the release is patently false. So this guy came out and said, okay, well, I don't know who these sources are or what they're saying, but no, this was not some blow-up fight. You can't release this. I don't agree with this. Everybody was in agreement. We all signed off on it. And then, of course, that then sent everyone into a tizzy.
Yeah, just as an FYI, in case anyone is wondering about this, like, oh, everyone's on the same page, right? Dan Bongino, as of yesterday, is apparently just not talking to anybody, and JD Vance is having to intervene, according to sources close to the White House. Several of President Donald Trump's top officials went to work on Monday with a key question unanswered. Would Dan Bongino show up? Hours later, two sources familiar with the matter confirmed he did, but his long-term future as deputy director of the FBI appeared uncertain. Bongino did not go into office on Friday and largely excommunicated himself from most of his colleagues after a major fallout with Attorney General Pam Bondi. As of Monday morning, no one in leadership at the Justice Department had spoken to Bongino since Wednesday. He just hasn't spoken to the Justice Department in a goddamn week. But yeah, we're all on the same page here. Yeah, totally.
Because it's like, okay, I don't know who we can trust, whose sources we can trust. Can we trust Kash Patel? Can we trust Dan Bongino? And then the next day, the Wall Street Journal had this report. They said, breaking, Dan Bongino had no issue with the Epstein memo or video rollout until he started receiving backlash online, which caused him to become extremely upset and leave DC. So based on...
Also, I think this is evidence that we should bully conservatives more. You know, bully elected conservatives and, like, appointed conservatives more. Because they're weak. They're weak and easily susceptible to peer pressure. And honestly, the higher the rate of turnover in these positions, the better for all of us. So, you know, I think it's good for people in government to be accountable to the people of America.
This report, they're now telling us that actually, okay, I know we said all these other things, but actually Bongino and Kash were okay with it. They were only upset when they started getting backlash. And then that is when everybody started pinning everything on Pam Bondi, and she kind of became the scapegoat. Now, I, like most people online, have no idea.
Don't bully us. We're smarter than you. Plum Pepper, I like you a lot. I like you a lot. We're going to keep you.
What is real here. And that is why this is so frustrating, because there was no transparency. Again, this memo was leaked to Axios, basically in the middle of the night, in the middle of the Texas Camp Mystic tragedy and the flooding. And that's why Trump was saying, like, we need to focus on other things. It almost...
I'm sorry, if the deputy director of the FBI is quitting because of online bullying, they shouldn't be the deputy director of the FBI. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if you can't, like, be in charge of the country's, like, national security interests and, like, or carry out your duties in office because people are being mean to you online, you don't deserve to hold that office. Plain and simple. Sorry.
Was nefarious, like this was just like slipped out in the middle of it, hoping that people would not notice. Obviously, we did. Now the back and forth of like who actually signed off on it, who didn't. Now there's even more additions to this story because Charlie Kirk posted yesterday and said, okay guys, sorry, I did see the emails, and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino signed off on it. House and Habit also saw the email. She posted it on her Substack. She has all the timestamps. She has the actual words.
I think I understand the appeal of Brett Cooper. Like, a conventionally attractive young woman who's like covering politics like it's a pop story, like it's a pop culture story. I understand the appeal, and she's like bending it through a conservative lens. I understand the vibe, and I find it kind of fascinating a little bit. I don't think it's good, mind you. I find it to be particularly insidious, but like I think it's an interesting new evolution of conservative content.
They were written by Dan Bongino and Kash Patel saying, yep, signed off, this is fine, go ahead, everything is good. So literally, it's like, what the heck?
No, she's an adult, one-eyed heathen.
Is going on. Like, I literally am going whiplash. I'm just like listening to like Justin Bieber's new album, like trying to like find peace, because I'm like, I literally have like no idea what is going on. And then last night, right after my speech, Trump posts on Truth Social. And guys, I think this is the first time Trump has ever been ratioed on his first platform. And he makes this entire post about how ridiculous this entire situation is. And honestly, it's just him doubling down on that awful statement that he made to the reporter where he was like, why does everybody care? The best part about his post was the way that he started it, and this is just like an iconic line now, but he said, what's going on with my boys, and in some cases, gals? That's like how he's talking about his supporters. I have no idea why he wrote it that way, but it cracked me up. But guys, look how long this post is. He's basically rambling, and he's saying, why do we care about Epstein? Move on. He defends Pam Bondi, which I'm not surprised about because he values loyalty, and Pam has been very loyal to him. So he's saying she's not the problem. She's not going anywhere.
I first heard of Brett Cooper when a crystal mommy woo-woo Gen Z friend of mine sent me a YouTube short of hers. My "this is a conservative" senses went off like Spider-Man. Yeah, I think like kind of part of her like angle is covering pop culture like Justin Bieber to like lure in normies and then radicalize them with conservative coverage on politics. It's a good angle. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's pretty effective for her. Like a lot of her content is doing fairly well numbers wise.
But the thing that was so insane about this post that caught everybody off guard was that he wasn't finally saying like, guys, I'm telling you, there's nothing there. I empathize with you. We should have done this differently. Like, get over it and move on. He wasn't saying there are more things we need to deal with. We just can't release them right now. There are things going on behind the scenes.
Less color on her walls than on her skin. Hey, look, okay? We don't want to go back to the Asmongold blood wall, okay? Like that, we just got away from the blood wall, and now you guys yearn for it. I see how it is.
Instead, he pins the entire thing on the Democrats. So literally within the span of a week, we went from, there are Epstein files, they will shock you, they are on my desk, to, actually, there's no client list, there really isn't anything in the files, we're closing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it, Shoot Bang. Like, this is, it is a pop culture approach to, like, life and death policy. It is a pop, like turning it into, like, a digestible pop culture, meaningless content sink out of, like, material that is existential for us as we live our lives in this country. These are the most powerful people, not just in our country, but in the world. And we're talking about it like it's like, I don't know, shit tier influencers going at each other. It's there aren't any stakes in the game. It's all, I don't know, it's all Calvin ball. It's just making up the rules as you go along. It's interesting, but also deeply troubling.
The case, there's nothing going on, to now there are actually files, and they were created by the Democrats. That is literally what he writes in this post. He says, why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax?
Oh God, are you just gonna read this the entire time? Like, we already read it. We don't need that.
Red flag to people, because it couldn't have just been the Democrats behind the Epstein files, because yes, Epstein was first arrested in 2006. I think he served like 13 months. He had some kind of like slap on the wrist, but it was in 20.
Yeah. By the way, who got that sweetheart deal? Who got that sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein? Who got who got that? I don't know. What was the name of that lawyer? Who was the Attorney General of Florida at the time? I don't know. Might have, I don't know, definitely couldn't have been a Trump guy. You know, definitely couldn't have been a Trump guy at all. You know, just Wait, the guy who got the Trump deal, or the deal for Jeffrey Epstein was Alex Acosta, who was the Secretary of Labor from 2017 to 2019 under Donald J. Trump. That's weird. That's so weird. How strange.
19, during the Trump administration, that Epstein was arrested by federal agents. And then he committed suicide, and there were still 7 months left of the Trump administration.
Yeah, and who was the Attorney General when Epstein committed suicide? Who was that? Was that, I think it was a young blonde lady by the name of Pam Bondi, actually. It's weird how a lot of these people who fail to follow up investigating Epstein and who give him sweetheart legal deals, they all just wind up in the Trump administration. That's really strange, isn't it? I wonder why. I wonder why that keeps happening. That's so bizarre.
His first term, that we didn't learn anything. So we don't actually know when these files were created. There could have been files that were created in 2006. There could have been files that were created under Biden, but there certainly was a lot going on under Trump's first term. So you can't just blame shift and put it all on them. And even if that is true, even if they created all of this and it's all a weird conspiracy and very odd, we don't...
Which, again, she doesn't point out the fundamental flaw, which is if Democrats created the Epstein files specifically as like a propaganda tool, they would have definitely included the guy that Jeffrey Epstein called his friend for over a decade, his best friend for a decade, Donald J. Trump. But they didn't release the files, and wouldn't they have released the files if the files implicated their number one political adversary? I wonder.
Trust anything now. Like, we're genuinely, it is whiplash. We're confused. We don't even know who in the DOJ and the FBI to trust. We have no idea if it actually is Pam Bondi. We have no idea if it's coming from Trump, which, in my opinion, it is, because we know how Trump operates and he controls everything. Like, everything.
Good job, Brett Cooper. You have successfully met the lowest possible bar by acknowledging, hey, this guy might have something to do with it. This guy who's a president who wields total power and control over his administration might, in fact, have something to do with this. Congrats, you have met the lowest possible bar.
Comes directly from him. This is not Biden, where he was on the beach for the majority of his presidency, half asleep, stumbling up and down stairs. Like, we know Trump is on it. That's why I voted for him, because he's so alert, because he literally looks like younger than he ever has in years, because he runs.
Are you fucking kidding me?
On McDonald's and Diet Coke in a dream, basically. And he is aware of everything going on around him. So you're not really going to convince me that he didn't know that this was happening and that it's all on Pam Bondi and that Dan Bongino didn't.
I mean, I guess this is the double-edged sword.
This qualifies as body shaming, but I am going to say it anyway. Brett Cooper's face is facing way too hard, and it is starting to rile up my mind goblins.
I don't know what that means, Knifeiest Duck, but thank you for the $5 dono. And I will say that I guess this is the double-edged sword of like saying Donald Trump is the most hyper-competent president to ever exist. You know, that when something goes wrong, you can't really just say, "Oh, he didn't know." You can't play the pobrecito card, you know?
No, and like, it just doesn't make sense. And it all has just now spiraled completely out of control, that this post from Trump, even if there is stuff in here that might be accurate, it is not going to help at all. In fact, this just fueled more conspiracies. There's another line in here where he says, Epstein, the man who can't be killed. So everybody then started running with that and being like, oh my God, is he alive? Is he hiding somewhere in a different part of the world? Like, it just...
I do find it interesting that Brett Cooper also was like, wait a minute, this phrasing is so weird. Is he implying that Jeffrey Epstein is alive? I do appreciate that a lot of other people are also going, did the president of the United States just imply that Jeffrey Epstein faked his death and got away with it? Like, what are you talking about?
Didn't help at all. And I understand that Trump just wants to move on from this because this was a major miscalculation by him and his team. He wants to brush this under the rug. He wants to get back to the fact that his administration is winning and objectively is doing great stuff, like prices are down, the border,
and protecting pedophiles. You know, the great stuff that Republicans do.
is more secure. People are not flooding in. He's cracking down and staying committed to all of the social issues that we care about. Like, there is a lot of good stuff here. He had an amazing month, and so obviously he's upset that we're all focusing on this. But again, like I said at the beginning of this little segment, this is a big freaking deal. It's not just about Epstein, and that is what he needs to understand. That's what his team needs to understand. It's not about just this one man. Like, why do you care about Epstein?
Yeah, prices literally aren't down anywhere. Prices for basically everything have gone up. Like, grocery prices are through the roof. Like, electronics prices are through the roof. Like, I don't know where you're getting this prices have come down bullshit. I guess prices have come down from where they were after they jumped due to his global tariff shit. But he's trying the tariff shit again, so prices are gonna jump.
Because of the transparency. It's because of the commitment to getting rid of the deep state and exposing everything. And this seems to go against what we all believed and what we put our trust in you for. This doesn't make me hate Trump. I'm still glad that he is our president. I think that our country is moving in the right direction. But I think, again, it's just a major miscalculation from him and his team.
I do think it's really weird that she's acknowledging that, hey, it does seem like the president's covering for pedophiles, though. But look at all this other great stuff he's doing. I don't know that doesn't make sense to me. And I'm not a Trump fan. Okay, I'm a lefty. I'm a socialist, straight up. But she's yeah, he covered for pedophiles, but look at all this other great shit he did. And it's just that doesn't that doesn't hold water. Sorry, especially not for conservatives.
They don't really seem to understand what this means to his base. And I think that is why we are seeing him flail online. And I'm sure when he logged onto Truth Social last night with his Diet Coke before he went to bed at 3 a.m., he was horrified by the fact that he was literally ratioed on his own platform. Now, I'm going to be releasing this episode in...
I do think an underappreciated aspect of all of this is that Donald Trump got ratioed on his own social media site for the very first time. You know that is going to eat him up inside for years.
The deep state sounds like a crazy name for an adult film.
It really does. Socket Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. But he might genuinely try and outlaw social media specifically because he got ratioed. That's the kind of petty this bitch is, God.
24 hours, again, I'm filming this on a Sunday. I am sure that there will be more information. Already his administration had said that the footage that they released of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, that was totally raw, but then Wired came out and looked at the metadata and actually it wasn't raw, and they had stitched it together, and they...
Brett Cooper is falling apart at the seams. She genuinely seems like she's this segment has been genuinely deeply interesting to me because it, I think, really gets at where her audience is probably at with this. And what I mean by that is normie Republicans. I think Brett Cooper appeals to a lot of relatively normie Republicans. And I think it's very interesting that she's basically bending over backwards to try and say, no, Trump's still great. He's still really great. But also it really seems like he covered for pedophiles, guys. And yeah, it's I think it's indicating that there is something here that could quite genuinely break the Republican Party. And I find that every instant that they are fighting about this and focusing on this is a net win for all of humanity.
Exported it multiple times and there's still that minute missing. There's so much going on. There's no answers. Every single source seems to have a different story. I'm sure that there will be more updates, but we can talk about that on Thursday. So to go back to the point of this episode, my husband and his cow chasing and carrying and getting peed upon self is standing on business. Justin Bieber.
I don't need to know anything else. I'm happy to know that there's something weird with cows and pissing going on. Anyway, yeah, so this Jeffrey Epstein thing genuinely has the capacity to break the MAGA movement, the Republican Party itself. And I think that if that happens, it is a net good for humanity. Okay? If we can get any of that information leaked, if any of that makes it to the press, we're talking a major implosion. And if Donald Trump himself is implicated in this, well, let's just say, one, I think that's very likely. And two, remember how Donald Trump said that he could shoot a man on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Remember that? If Donald Trump is implicated in this, I don't think that he can, like, sexually abuse children in the middle of Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Let me put it that way. I think that while Republicans might be completely on board with, like, Donald Trump murdering a guy, I think it might be a step too far for a not insignificant number of them if evidence from their faves comes out that Donald Trump in fact participated in these events with Jeffrey Epstein. Or even, honestly, and this is another possibility that has been relatively under-discussed, if Donald Trump facilitated the financial rise of Jeffrey Epstein. Because again, people don't know where he got his money from. And that is a mystery that might come out if, say, there were documents or clients implicated in this. So I hope that this continues. I hope more information continues to leak out, because this is, I mean, I think it's basically the same thing if there's proof conclusively that he went and participated in activities on Little St. James and that he funded Jeffrey Epstein's activities. I think like both of those things have the capacity to take down the entire Trump apparatus. The entire GOP could fracture under that. That being said, this might be one of those stories, one of those rare stories where Republicans actually give a shit. And well, I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather around. Twitch and YouTube and Swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.